You're watching the Big 12 Conference on ESPN from beautiful and chilly Provo, Utah on senior night for the Cougars, 19th ranked team in the country. They've had an excellent year. This is the last game of the regular season in the Big 12. Houston on the road to take on BYU. Could be big stakes for BYU tonight. We are watching that game in Ames very closely, getting close to the fourth quarter, and a 3-point lead for Iowa State. BYU pulling hard for Kansas State. If K-State wins and BYU wins, then they're in the Big 12 championship game next week. Hi, everybody. Dave Fleming, Brock Osweiler, bundled up upstairs here at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. BYU's got to play the start of this game. We saw that score. We'll keep you updated as we go along, like this is for a spot in the championship game.
It certainly is. And don't get yourself wrong. It's been a disappointing couple of weeks here in Provo for the BYU Cougars, losing 2 straight. But there's still a chance, and there is a path to the Big 12 title game. Keeping an eye on what's going on in Ames. And then don't forget, they still have an outside chance to get an at-large bid into the 12-team playoffs. So you combine all of that with senior night here at Provo, and there's a lot to play for tonight.
Yeah, well said, because it has been a disappointing couple weeks. BYU was in control of their own destiny, and now they need some help. Looking for the Wildcats of K-State to help them out tonight. Houston won the toss. They deferred, so the BYU offense will come on the field to have the ball first. And Jake Retzloff, it's been overall, Brock, I would say a really great year for Retzloff. Maybe not the best couple weeks.
Yeah, it certainly has. You know, you go back to the midpoint in the year, and he had a stretch of 6 straight games where he threw for multiple touchdown passes in those games. But against Arizona State a week ago and Kansas the week prior, had some issues with some inconsistencies, some turnovers. So look to see Jake Retzloff get back on track tonight against the Houston Cougars.
As always, even with the tampering down of all the incredible emotions around here, huge crowd and an enthusiastic crowd. And they're going to give it to Keelan Marion. The wide receiver had a lot of success last week on a little jet sweep action for a nice gain. And we welcome those of you who just finished up in Baton Rouge. Slightly different climate tonight. It was chilly in Louisiana. It's cold here in Provo, Utah. Dave Fleming, Brock Osweiler, Stormy Bonatoni, number 19 BYU at home on senior night against Houston, the final regular season game of the year in the Big 12. And BYU closely watching the scoreboard as we speak in Ames, Iowa. Retzloff back to pass, and the BYU quarterback flings it forward and does avoid the sack. Iowa State has a 3-point lead at home against Kansas State. BYU, because they've lost 2 games in a row, they don't control their own destiny. They need help. They need K-State to come back and win that game. If that happens and BYU wins as a big favorite against Houston tonight, then they'll play Arizona State in the Big 12 championship next week.
Yeah, and that's the path for BYU. You can look out and you can see all the fans in the stands. They're looking at their phones. They're keeping an eye on the score because they know that is the best shot for BYU to get to that Big 12 title game, because the reality to get an at-large bid, you know, that's pretty small.
Handoff to L.J. Martin on 3rd and short, and he got just enough to get the first down for BYU to move the chains on their first drive of the game for either side. Houston, meanwhile, just a quick note on the other Cougars involved in tonight's game. There's their head coach, Willie Fritz, 4-7, 3-5 in conference play. An excellent defensive team. They're going to make it hard on BYU's offense. Houston's offense has been arguably the worst in all of major college football.
Yeah, that's right. And when you talk about Houston's defense, they are the best in the Big 12 Conference when you look at total defense.
L.J. Martin, the power back for BYU, with a carry straight over the left side for close to 4 yards. And you got to give credit to Houston's defense with almost no support, whatever you want to call it, complimentary football or whatever, in terms of the FBS. Excellent rankings in terms of the Big 12, particularly excellent, as Chase Roberts gets the ball for the first time and another BYU first down.
Well, that's really good recognition by Jake Retzloff. There's pressure that comes from the slot, who is right over Chase Roberts. When the blitzer comes, Retzloff just replaces him with the throw. Great recognition, great throw and catch.
BYU, they do this a lot, gets up to the line quickly, and then takes a look at how Houston's lining up defensively. Retzloff feeling a little healthier this week. I think we could see the effects of that. Martin, nice straight ahead run. And into Houston territory, close to the 45, a gain of 5 on first down. Running behind Brock, a reconfigured BYU offensive line. A lot of injuries up front for the Cougars. That could be a factor tonight.
Yeah, they do. There's certainly a few backups that are going to be starting tonight at right guard. You have Bruce Mitchell, who's got a few starts throughout the year at the center position as well as right guard. But a season ago, he was a defensive lineman. Lapajo's moving from left guard to right tackle. A few other moving pieces in there, but your center and left tackle is in place for BYU.
Shotgun snap to Retzloff on second down. He'll throw it left side and a perfect pass right there to Keelan Marion. That's another BYU first down, gain of 10.
It's a really good route outside with Keelan Marion working on cornerback Wilson, who had 2 interceptions a week ago. That's just a one-on-one matchup outside. Retzloff's going to want to take advantage of that. There was press early in the down, and then Wilson bailed later. Great throw and catch by the BYU Cougars for a fresh set of downs.
Real close to that sideline, but Marion got the foot down. He goes in motion a couple different ways. And BYU is still time on the play clock. He's going to make another change now. Play clock down to 3, down to 2, down to 1. They get it snapped. On first and 10, Retzloff across the middle, and Chase Roberts is there inside the 25. 14 more yards.
Well, it all starts with the offensive line. We talked about how they have a couple backups in the lineup tonight due to injuries, but they do a fantastic job giving Jake Retzloff a clean pocket so he's able to dissect the defense. And Chase Roberts at 6'4", 210 pounds, unless you get hands on him at the line of scrimmage, he's going to get to that second level and make you pay. He has a great feel for the game, throttling down in zone coverage. Another great throw and catch early in the ball game.
So far, so good for BYU. Very slow starting offensively these last few weeks. Trying to put some points on the board early here tonight. Retzloff on the move, and he's going to be chased down from behind and sacked. Pretty impressive pursuit there. Brandon Mack got to him, and that's a loss of 3.
Well, that's a matchup we're going to keep an eye on all night. Brandon Mack going against Waylon Lapajo, who's used to playing left guard, but because of those injuries, is going to be forced to make his first career start at offensive tackle. And Brandon Mack, who transferred in from Ole Miss, has had a great season for this Houston defense, and he definitely can insert his presence on the edge.
Martin alongside Retzloff, 2nd and 13 for BYU. They'll hand it off and then try to pitch it to Marion. The 2 teammates collided and the ball pops right to the Houston D lineman, Carlos Allen. Down the right sideline, inside the 20. It was Martin and Marion trying a little trick play. They ran into each other. The ball popped in the air. It came to Carlos Allen, and he rumbled 54 yards.
Well, you got to give a lot of credit to the Houston defense and Carlos Allen to be there to take advantage of this opportunity. But these are the type of plays that have just plagued the BYU offense for weeks now. This is simply just a reverse. Poor job with the ball handling. Keelan Marion needs to be to the outside of LJ Martin. Instead, they collide. And Allen, what a huge play for Houston early on in the ball game.
It's a good point you make. I mean, it's really, BYU has just done too much of that these last few weeks. So now their defense on the field for the first time after the turnover and the long return, and right away, Houston moved. It is loud at Lavelle Edwards Stadium.
False start, number 58, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, that's Shamar Habdi-Lee, who also is a backup offensive lineman, playing because of Houston's injuries up front.
Clock operator, please reset the game clock to 9 minutes and 48 seconds.
Sophomore quarterback Zion Chris.
9:48 on the game clock, please. 9 minutes, 48 seconds on the game clock.
The official keeps telling the game clock operator to put a couple extra seconds, and the game clock operator is not doing it.
9:48 on the game clock.
I don't think they can hear.
9:48.
We still haven't made that adjustment. Meanwhile, the BYU defense going to try to get that crowd riled up even more. All right. Now we got it. Big change this week. In fact, it was just on Tuesday that Willie Fritz announced that the offensive coordinator, Kevin Barbay, with 1 game to go, was relieved of his job. So you're looking at Sean Bell, the quarterback's coach. He's going to call the plays tonight for the first time. 1st and 15. First play from scrimmage for Houston, and it's a handoff straight ahead without a whole lot of running room for Rashawn Sanford.
You know, Flem, we talked a little bit about the Houston offense earlier in this game and the struggles that they've faced throughout the season, scoring points, getting yards. But tonight against BYU, they're going to get the opportunity to see a lot of man coverage. And with man coverage, that can be very friendly to a young quarterback. Pick your best matchup, throw on time, throw with conviction, get the ball to your hand. Keep an eye on the perimeter to see if Houston can get into this rhythm early on in the game.
You saw those points per game numbers for Houston. 13.5 points a game for a full season. They're going to try a trick play. And Manjack, the receiver's going to throw an interception. Tyler Batty on his senior day. Maybe the emotional leader of this whole team. A defensive lineman with a fumble return for Houston, and now a D lineman with an interception for BYU.
Well, there's been some fireworks early on in this game. What a play by Tyler Batty. BYU ball when we come back.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. Sub-freezing temperatures tonight. It is a beautiful, clear night, though, in Provo, Utah. And it's a BYU game, so what does that mean? Craziness already on both sides. BYU gets the ball back, and now it looks like they move before they snap the ball.
False start. Number 63, offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So that's the new right guard, Bruce Mitchell. Really has played well when he's played up front, but he committed the false start penalty. 1st and 15 for the Cougars, who had a 10-play drive that went 46 yards until the blown reverse play that turned into a turnover. Martin alongside Retzloff, who's going to fake a quarterback run, and now he is going to run with a big hole in the middle and a nice move to the outside to get the first down. That was pretty impressive. 16-yard gain. Let's go down to Stormy.
Well, Dave, Tyler Batty, who had the turnover to help set this up, is someone who told me his senior day is that much more special when he reflects on the journey that he has had in football. When he was 13 years old, doctors told him that he might never play this game again. He got in a terrible four-wheeler accident where he fractured his skull, orbital bone, and had a severe brain bleed as we get the catch that goes out of bounds, or no catch, excuse me, but had a severe brain bleed that doctors thought it could lead to total brain failure. And when I just asked him about that, he got choked up. He said how absolutely special it is, and you know, to see how far he's come and be in a position like this in this special season has really been something.
It is a cool story. You've been working on your play-by-play, Stormy?
A little bit. Trying for you, Dave.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting nervous.
On the other side of the field, it's tough.
Getting nervous. I could see you were peeking over your shoulder. 2nd down and 10 for BYU. Tyler Batty, that story aside, forget about that, the sort of the amazing aspect of it. He's just turned into a great player, a beloved player here, one of the many seniors experiencing senior night.
Well, he's really been a pillar and the heartbeat of this BYU Cougars defense for a number of years now. Tonight, he's making his 44th career start as a BYU Cougar, and so once again, he's really been the leader of that defense, and there's so many veteran guys up front for this BYU defensive unit that really kind of sparked this resurgence this season, but Tyler Batty at the forefront.
About halfway through the first quarter, no score, BYU and Houston. 3rd and 6 for the Cougars. I can't really say that tonight. They're both Cougars. Pressure comes. Retzloff gets rid of it, and that one knocked down at the line of scrimmage, incomplete. So it's 4th down, just in Houston territory. Let's see what BYU wants to do. I think the punt team's going to come on.
That was a really heads-up play by number 5, Keith Cooper. Big guy up front, 6'5", 280 pounds, showing his athleticism. BYU trying to cut him at the line of scrimmage with the offensive line to get his hands down, but able to get back up off the turf to knock it down and force a punt.
Oh, good job by the Houston defense. By the way, a safety in the game at Ames. They're in the fourth quarter now. Iowa State with a 5-point lead over K-State. BYU needs Kansas State to win that game. The punt will bounce into the end zone. So a touchback. Houston gets the ball when we come back to Provo.
ESPN College Football is presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. 19 hotel brands, 1 loyalty program. Download the app. And in part by Mercedes-Benz.
Well, a great group of seniors on senior night with the drone show up above at Lavelle Edwards Stadium here in Provo. And really, in college football these days, you don't take that for granted. Senior nights are different than they used to be. But with BYU, a group of 15 or 20 core players who've been around this program for a long time, playing their final game tonight on this field. The defense out on the field for BYU. Houston's offense turned it over first time they had it. Chris is going to roll right and take off on first down, and he is dangerous out in the open field. He gets across the 25 and gains 8 yards.
Yeah, that's definitely where he's most dangerous. When he gets out in the open field, he has elite track speed, arguably the fastest guy in the field. You see his numbers on the season, 4 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, but you see what he's done in the rushing game. 376 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's where he's most comfortable. So I expect to see Sean Bell, the interim offensive coordinator, to get him outside the pocket early and often.
Through 3 picks last week against Baylor, Houston did not score an offensive touchdown. Handoff on second and short. And a very tough run. Jamarian Burnett, the freshman from the state of Alabama, with a tough guy run. He got the 2 yards they needed for a Houston first down.
Well, and that's a good sign for the Houston Cougars, because last week, you just mentioned against Baylor, Zion Chris, tough game with the 3 turnovers, but they weren't able to establish the run. And I know that's just a 2 to 3 yard gain, but to be able to assert your will early on against a good BYU defensive front, that's a big time pickup.
So first and 10 Houston. BYU almost jumped there. Stacy Snead now in the backfield. That's the 3rd running back we've seen already. They've only run a handful of plays from scrimmage. And they do get the ball snapped just barely. Pressure comes and a nice delivery right side. First down and more, cutting it to the middle and almost to midfield. That's the running back Snead.
That's a really nice play by Zion Chris getting the football out. You're going to see Mark Collins, number 2, the cornerback, blitz from his corner position. Chris recognizes it, gets the football out very quickly to Snead out in space. And you can see what Stacy Snead can do with the ball when he gets it out in the open field.
Gain of 19 yards. First and 10 Houston. Handoff and a big hole. Up the middle, still going inside the 35. That's DJ Butler. They're just going to play all their running backs immediately in this game. That's the 4th already, and that's an 18-yard run.
Well, this is a really good job by the left side of the offensive line and the tight ends. And Isaiah Glasker, the linebacker's there to make the play for BYU. He just does not squeeze down in time. And with DJ Butler and the speed that he brings to the running back position, if you don't squeeze down and help out that defensive end, he's going to make you pay.
Chris, this time all alone in the backfield on first down, throws, and that slant is caught by the back Snead, who was out essentially as a wide receiver, tackled by Jack Kelly, but that's 9 more yards.
Once again, great recognition by the quarterback, going to his man-to-man beater outside, going back to his running back Snead because he's being covered by a linebacker out in space.
Chris runs it left side, gets the first down and plenty more. Inside the 20, down to about the 16-yard line.
Boy, this Houston offense, they're really starting to catch some rhythm here early in this football game, and this is something Houston fans have not seen out of this offense in a couple weeks. And you mentioned it early, Sean Bell is now the offensive coordinator tonight, named to that position on Tuesday, and he said some things would be different. What I like that he's doing early is he's taking advantage of the man defense BYU likes to play.
He's got a headset, he's got a walkie-talkie. He's got a smile on his face. I think he's sort of relishing the chance to call plays tonight. Under 4 minutes to go, first quarter. Houston on the move. Handoff, and this time just nowhere to go for Sanford. Very short gain on first down. This is the lowest scoring offense in all of FBS football, Houston.
Yeah, they've really struggled putting points up on the board, and when they have been able to drive the field this season, they get down to the red zone and they just stall out. So this will be a very interesting part of the field to see if they can find a matchup that they like to take advantage of to find 6 points.
Sanford in the backfield with Chris on 2nd and long, looking to throw. He'll sling it out to Sanford in the right flat, takes a big hit and gets driven out of bounds. You can tell the field, it's a beautiful field here usually in Provo, but I think with the cold it's a little slick.
Yeah, I really like what Chris is doing right now. He's getting the football out of his hands very quickly to his playmakers in space, and then you see the big time tackle come up by Evan Johnson. When you talk red zone matchups, who's the guy that you want to go to the football, especially on 3rd down? For Houston, keep an eye on the tight end, number 6, Malik Carr, 6'6", 265 pounds, certainly a mismatch.
On 3rd down and 6, they're going to hand it off, and a bounce to the right side. That'll be enough for a first down. Well, I don't think BYU is expecting that. They handed it off to Sanford, and he gets enough to make it 1st and goal.
What an impressive run by Sanford. Jack Kelly's in the hole, number 17, to make a play, but he hesitates. And as soon as he hesitates, the speed that Sanford plays with, he's going to capture that edge and pick up a first down. Very impressive drive by the Houston Cougars.
BYU may be lucky they didn't get a penalty at the end of that play. Burnett, the freshman, back alongside Chris. 1st and goal, Houston. Chris is going to run it himself. Left side, touchdown.
Touchdown, Houston.
Well, that's one of the best drives that Houston's had all year.
Yeah, and the BYU fans right now, they're in shock. You know, obviously they're keeping an eye on the score in Ames, and they know they need some help by Kansas State, but they can't believe the way their football team's playing. But you have to give a ton of credit to Houston. Getting the turnover early in the game. What an impressive drive. Zion Chris, very accurate with his throws, making quick decisions, and then getting some help from his running back room. It's quite the drive by Houston.
10 plays, 80 yards, 5.5 minutes. And they did it in a lot of different ways. The extra point is up and good. So Houston, it's been a tough year for the Cougars from Texas, but not on this drive. Excellent. And Chris finishes it off with a touchdown run. Before we go to break, we were headed for timeout, but there was a flag. In fact, 2 flags thrown on that point after try. While we have a second, K-State did hold Iowa State to a field goal in the red zone.
The try was successful. After the try, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 13, BYU. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. Timeout on the field.
Not great in a lot of ways for BYU. It's an 8-point lead for Iowa State. With about 6 minutes to go in Ames, it's a 7-point lead for Houston here, first quarter in Provo.
In our college football studio with our Capital One rewarding performance. And the key for top-ranked teams today, don't get upset. Oregon handled their business. They'll be the only undefeated team heading into championship weekend, having their way with Oregon. 49-21 the final in Eugene. Hey, Brock Osweiler, what a beautiful day of college football.
Oh, my goodness. And Matt Perry. Oh, my gosh. Houston just tried an onside kick, and Talon Alfrey ran up, scooped it up, and ran all the way to the end zone for a touchdown. There was a penalty on the point after try. It meant Houston was kicking off from midfield. They decided to try an onside kick, and it backfired, to say the least.
What a play by Alfrey. Just a heads-up play. He wasn't surprised at call by Houston going with the onside kick. He was anticipating it with the ball being placed at midfield. He was ready for it. And what a play. Just scoop, score. There's a hole there. He shoots the gap and doesn't look back, and BYU is now on the board.
After a very sluggish start for BYU, they needed that. That's their first points of the game. It's tied up at 7 apiece, 1:40 to go first quarter. That was a 58-yard return on the onside kick that did not work. Well, you can't blame Willie Fritz, an excellent coach with a track record of success. His first year at Houston hasn't gone the way he wanted. Massive roster turnover. Not a whole lot left for him to work with at the start of this year. So final game of the year, he's trying a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, and he should. You know, he's struggled scoring points all year. You have the ball at midfield. You might as well try to surprise BYU and steal an extra possession here early in the football game. But Alfred's there to make the play, and like I said, what a heads-up play. But getting back to Willie Fritz, you know, for the Houston fan base, have patience, have time, because you mentioned it. Everywhere he's been, whether it was Tulane, whether it was FCS, the junior college ranks, he's won, and he's won big. So you look at what he's doing in the program right now. You look at the recruiting class that he's getting ready to sign next week. It's top 5 in the Big 12. And then you mentioned how good the defense has played all year. Willie Fritz and this Houston football team will be someone to keep an eye on next season and the years to come.
A lot of work to do, but a guy with a track record of getting it done. Third kickoff return for a touchdown of the year for BYU. That was a little different than the other two from Keelan Marion. Now Houston will get it back, and they've got their own kick return coming. Outside the 30 from Mekhi Muse. Nice return out to the 31, maybe 32, where the Houston offense will get the ball back. After a really impressive drive. They had not scored an offensive touchdown, Brock. Houston hadn't since November 2nd. They've gone 2 full games in a row coming into tonight without an offensive touchdown.
Yeah, the struggles have certainly been documented and have been there the last month and really the entire season for this Houston offense. But what I'm seeing early on in this ball game between Zion Chris and his offensive coordinator Sean Bell, they're on the same page. They're in rhythm. Chris making really good decisions with the football. I'm anxious to see how the BYU defense responds to try to break up that rhythm.
2 backs in the backfield. One of them, Sneed, motions, and they're going to sling it out to Sneed running left, and he'll get tackled at about the 35 by Tyler Batty, who we've told his story. Already has an interception in this game, gain of 3.
Yeah, that was a great play by Batty, leaving his defensive end position to chase down the ball carrier out in space. But you see the game plan for Houston. They're going to get the football out of Chris's hand very quickly. They don't want this BYU defensive line to be able to get started. They're running the football efficiently.
And off straight ahead. A couple broken tackles. Good run from Rashawn Sanford, and I think he was stopped about a yard short of a first down.
It's a really impressive run by Sanford. Big time contact in between the tackles, and he's not the biggest guy, just listed at 185 pounds, but ran through the arm tackle, was able to get out to the perimeter to bring up the 3rd and short scenario.
There's the interim offensive coordinator, the play caller for the first time tonight, Sean Bell, with Burnett the tailback, 3rd and 1. Chris will run it himself, get the first down. He is a very talented runner at that quarterback spot.
I'm just so impressed with this Houston offensive line. The tight ends and even the running backs have been involved blocking now for Chris and the quarterback designed runs. They're really controlling the line of scrimmage and the tempo of this football game early on.
And that will be the final play of the first quarter. 7-7 here in Provo.
Well, we've seen chaos left and right here early, Coach Fritz, but your offense has been moving the ball and driving well. What did you learn from that first drive that they can build off of here?
Well, we're doing a good job mixing run and pass, and the offensive line. We kind of got a few new guys playing, but they're doing a good job playing together.
Do you expect more of that aggressive style?
Yes, we'll do that the whole ball game.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stormy. As we start the second quarter here in Provo, Dave Fleming, Brock Osweiler, Stormy Bonatoni. Tie game. Houston, big underdogs on the road in the cold. 7-7, moving the ball on offense. 1st and 10 from close to midfield. Zion Chris, their quarterback, who's really playing well so far. Another bounce off a would-be tackler. This time Jamarian Burnett, the freshman tailback. BYU's not tackled all that well so far in this game.
No, and Burnett, I mean, he's a big back, 220 pounds. He's a load, so when he gets going downhill, you're going to have to wrap up and run your feet to bring him to the ground. It's a very impressive run to make this second and manageable. This running game for the Houston Cougars early on, very impressive. And you have to remember, BYU coming into the game, this is one of the top defenses in the Big 12.
4 backs have already been involved for Houston. 2nd down and 3 for the Cougars into BYU territory. Play fake, Chris, and then a little shoulder fake. Going deep left side, wide open! And the pass is caught on the sideline by Stephon Johnson, who almost looked like he was stumbling and losing his balance, but he secured the ball, went out of bounds, a gain of 40.
Just a fantastic route by Johnson. A double move, gets the corner to bite.
And now quick tempo handoff on 1st down. Houston down to the 2.
Want to go back to that last explosive gain. You're going to see Johnson working on Mark Collins, and Collins takes the bait on the little stutter step on the stutter go route. Just perfectly set up by Stephon Johnson. He showed patience, and that's what gets the cornerback to bite up. Great throw and catch and perfect execution.
And very close to a drop from Johnson, but he hung on to the ball. So now to be 2nd and goal. By the way, this is the 17th straight play from scrimmage for Houston's offense, because BYU had the kick return for a touchdown. They've been on the field for a long stretch of time. 2nd and goal. Chris, quarterback run. Chris ran into a wall. Lost a yard, it looked like. Blake Mangelson and company were there. 3rd and goal.
It was a really nice play by Mangelson, just shooting the gap, getting into the backfield for no gain. Blake Mangelson, another senior for this BYU defense, who's just had a spectacular season, an even better career, and really been a heartbeat to this defense all season long.
Early 2nd quarter. Houston driving the ball impressively again, but now facing 3rd and goal. Chris, pressure comes, steps up and goes down. The sack for BYU. Isaiah Glasker from the linebacker spot. He got there.
A little bit of confusion on the right side of the offensive line for Jake Wiley, which is why Glasker comes free. Wiley didn't know if he should block the defensive end or the linebacker, just hesitated for a second. And with the speed Isaiah Glasker plays with, he's in the backfield in the heartbeat, nowhere for Chris to go with the football.
Short try coming up, 26 yards for Jack Martin, the senior place kicker. Good snap and hold, kick is up, and it is good. So Houston converts that drive into 3, take a 10-7 lead here in Provo. Let's take a look at the Now What moments brought to you by Prudential. If you're just tuning in, it's a 10-7 game. You're thinking probably kind of a normal game so far. No. A botched play by BYU. Long fumble recovery returned by a Houston D lineman. Then Tyler Batty, the BYU defensive lineman, a couple plays later with an interception of his own. Then a attempt at an onside kick by Houston did not take BYU by surprise. 58 yards, Talon Alfrey with a kickoff return for a touchdown. All that in the 1st quarter and a half here in Provo. It's 10-7 Houston. It's never normal with BYU this season. Short kickoff. Marion takes it at the 10. He's got 2 kick returns for touchdowns himself this year. Goes down at about the 27-yard line. Not a lot of Houston fans, I don't think, are here this weekend, but those are some loyal Cougars followers, and they're just trying to show how tough they are. It's below freezing. We're eating ice cream anyway.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Get some homemade BYU ice cream while you're on the road. They make it right down the street from here.
They do have the famous BYU Creamery. They put it up against anybody, including Penn State's Creamery.
That's what I'm saying. You got to get the full experience when in Provo.
Or just a giant bowl of nachos. LJ Martin, or whatever that was. Retzloff, play fake across the middle, and a nice catch. Contested catch with a penalty flag thrown. Keelan Marion hangs on to the ball. Jeremiah Wilson, who's had a really good year at corner with the coverage. I think they're going to call the penalty against Houston, but BYU will take the catch.
It's a great catch by Keelan Marion. Defensive back draped all over him, strong hands.
Prior to the pass, holding number 20 defense. The penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down.
That's going to be a fun matchup to watch as this game moves along tonight. Jeremiah Wilson, 2 interceptions a week ago. 1 went for a pick 6. He's really had a fantastic season for Houston. And early on, he's been matched up with Marion. Early on, Marion's got the best of him.
First down BYU. Jet sweep. Keelan Marion. Marion gets around to the corner and gets to midfield. Keith Cooper made the tackle from his defensive end position, a gain of 8. We do have some news from Ames. It was a back and forth game, but ultimately Iowa State has finished off Kansas State 29-21. The final score. Iowa State will go to the Big 12 championship next weekend. Kalani Sitake's team will not play for that Big 12 title. They needed help after losing 2 games in a row coming into tonight, and they got no help from either Arizona or Kansas State. So it's Iowa State, ASU in the Big 12 championship. Option play. Retzloff took a hit. Martin takes the pitch into Houston territory with a good run of 12 yards.
That was a really good job by LJ Martin to secure that football on the speed sweep. This has been a play that BYU has relied a lot on this season, having a lot of success with the speed option.
So I should, you know, there are so many permutations that I should not have said it the way that I said it. BYU is eliminated. If Houston wins this game, though, Colorado will go to the Big 12 championship. So if you're looking for intrigue on this game, BYU's championship hopes have already been dashed, but Colorado's hopes are very much alive. And Houston, I mean, big underdogs, have been 3 weeks since they'd scored an offensive touchdown. They've outplayed BYU so far.
Oh, no, they really have. Their defense has done a good job. Bit of a bend but not break early on in the football game. But offensively, an offensive unit that could get nothing going a week ago and most of the season, coming out playing really good football early on.
This time Parker Kingston, what a nice turn upfield by him, showing off his speed. Hit that hole beautifully. Got knocked out of bounds, but not before he got 20 yards.
This has really been one of the most consistent plays for BYU all season long. It's getting the football to the perimeter on these speed sweeps with Parker Kingston and Keelan Marion. They have just such great football savvy and speed. If they can capture that perimeter, you see what they're able to do out in space. And that time it was Parker Kingston.
You and I were here when Kansas State was in town early in the season, and Parker Kingston had one of the most electrifying punt returns you'll ever see for a touchdown in that big BYU win. Sione Moa along with Martin. It'll be Moa as a blocker, Martin as a ball carrier inside the 10 down to the 6.
And this is the BYU identity that they want to play with. They want to be a run-first football team, and that's something going back to their 2 losses against Arizona State and Kansas, they weren't able to do. Kansas and Arizona State both took away the run game. They controlled the line of scrimmage. So if you're a BYU fan, to see that offensive line slowly start to take over and have some success this drive, that's a really good sign for the Cougars.
There's Aaron Roderick. He's had a good year as the coordinator of this BYU offense. Second down and short inside the 10. They can get a first down at about the 4. Retzloff will hand it to Moa. Big hole, left side, touchdown. A little misdirection there from BYU, and it worked beautifully. First lead of the night for Kalani Sitake's team. Counting his players, making sure they got the right number out there for the point after try. Will Farron, who's had a great year as the BYU place kicker. Extra point up and good. A moment that'll never be forgotten in BYU history. His game-winning field goal up the road in Salt Lake City. Nice play here.
I want you to see the misdirection that Aaron Roderick sets up, and that's what allows the running back Moa out the backside. Watch the defense flow with the misdirection between LJ Martin and Paulo. Great job by the offensive line. BYU strikes.
All right, let's take a look at this week's college football playoff rankings brought to you by Capital One. Another crazy day and weekend of college football results. You have some big picture takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to look at Miami. That jumps out to you. Ohio State. What happens now with those two going down this week? You know, the conference championship picture's starting to clear up, but, you know, there's still a couple teams that are hoping to get in with those automatic bids. There's going to be some shakeup with those losses.
The ACC now might be staring at a one playoff team year. The Big 12, I think, is very fearful of that happening. Indiana's been a really good week for Indiana. Kick return for Houston, and the ball came out. It went backwards, and it went out of bounds. So that's a break for Houston, down 14-10, 7:48 to go, second quarter.
There's a fumble backwards out of bounds. The ball will be spotted at the out of bounds spot.
That definitely got punched out there, but Houston got a break. So BYU's defense would come on the field.
You know, Fleming, going back to that playoff conversation, just because it's so fun and we're getting so close to it, the seeding really matters, because don't forget, those first round playoff games, they're going to be played on home campuses. So where you fall in that seeding 5 through 12 really matters.
It does. First and 10. Chris gets away from the pass rusher and then throws it incomplete. Avoided the sack, but it's an incompletion at second and 10. You and I were sitting down trying to do some math before the game, and we think that essentially there are about 10 spots locked up. You can draw if you want.
Hey, I like the playoff conversation too, but you see here, BYU bringing one more defender than Houston has in pass protection. Chris needs to beat the blitzer with the football.
Maybe not 10 specific teams, but 10 spots essentially accounted for, and maybe 2 still up for grabs, with 6, 7, maybe 8 teams if you stretch it in contention. Wow, what a run. More broken tackles. Rashawn Sanford is running hard tonight. That could have been a loss. Instead, it's a positive gain.
Tell you what, getting ready for this football game, watching tape on Houston, Sanford's the first person that jumped out to me. It's the way he plays the game, and you can see it. He's going to fight for every yard. He's not going to go down easy. And once again, not the biggest back at 5'9", 185 pounds, but plays much bigger than that.
Snead in the backfield now alongside Chris on third down and 3. Pressure comes. Chris will throw middle, and he completes it. Nicely done to his tight end, Malik Carr. That's the guy you were talking about earlier in the game.
Well, he had Tyler Batty breathing right down on his neck early in the down. Tyler Batty loops from his defensive end position. Chris did a great job of keeping his eyes down the field, remaining in the pass. You see, he took a pretty high hit. Could have been potentially roughing the passer.
No kidding.
But nevertheless, great play by Chris, avoiding the rush, avoiding the sack, keeping his eyes down the field and picking up a fresh set of downs.
Play fake, and he'll throw a little wide receiver screen. Well executed. Manjack out into the open to midfield. Joseph Manjack, the USC transfer, 21-yard gain.
Well, this is a perfect play call by Sean Bell. He's going to throw an inside tunnel screen into a pressure by the BYU Cougars. Couldn't ask for a better play. Great execution by that offensive line, getting out in front of Manjack, and the quarterback giving him a friendly pass.
Sean Bell's having a good night. First night calling plays for Houston. They fired their coordinator earlier in the week. I'll swing it out to the right side. Quick hitter for a completion on first down. Good open field tackling, though. Stephon Johnson really had nowhere to go.
Yeah, that was a really good open field tackle by Tanner Wall. He's had a great season for BYU. A former wide receiver converted to safety, has excellent ball skills and feel for the game.
There's Sean Hill. Sean Bell, rather. The former Baylor quarterback, had a really good career at Baylor, was part of their coaching staff for many years. In Houston as a QB coach and calling plays tonight for the first time. Chris, after the play fake, keeps it and just could not get to the corner. Great pursuit from Jack Kelly.
Jack Kelly not fooled at all with the zone read concept. He read the keys right. He kept his eyes on Chris. Talk about somebody else who's had an all-conference-esque type season. And that's Jack Kelly. He's been making plays all across the field all season long for BYU.
So now 3rd and 13. Not a good third down team, Houston, for most of the year. Not a good offensive team at all, but playing well so far tonight. Tough situation here. Another screen knocked in the air. Wow, great play by John Nelson. Chris needs some help getting up. It'll be 4th down.
Yeah, Chris took a big hit by Tyler Batty before he was able to get the pass off. Just trying to work another inside tunnel screen to Muse. But John Nelson, big number 94, does a fantastic job reading the quarterback's eyes, getting a hand up to deflect the pass and force a punt.
I think that had a chance. If he didn't get a hand on that, that had a chance to work. Instead, the punt coming. Kingston back to receive. Liam Doherty. Lefty punter trying to angle that one toward the corner. Kingston will call fair catch inside the 5. Usually that's a no-no. Not great field position for the BYU offense. Few hours, 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, Sunday. NFL Countdown crew gets you caught up on all the early breaking stories, injury updates, right up to kickoff. And then Monday Night Football in Denver. It's the Browns and Brock Osweiler's Broncos. 8 Eastern on ESPN and ESPN Deportes. They got themselves a young quarterback, don't they?
It's exciting. Bo Nix, great season. Broncos are rolling. Playoffs are in sight. A lot of football to play. But very, very exciting to see what's taking place up there in Denver.
Broncos fans haven't been doing the Macarena much lately. But this year, they're having a good year. BYU's offense, poor field position, and they moved early. So starting inside their own 5 after a fair catch at the 3.5-ish yard line. And now they're going backwards. It's 2 or 3 of those pre-snap penalties for the BYU offense. Jake Retzloff placed the ball, trying to help the officials. And who knows, maybe Houston did something they weren't supposed to do.
Delay of game, defense, making disconcerting signals, forcing an offensive reaction. It's a 5-yard penalty, first down.
Willie Fritz just loved that call, didn't he?
Yeah, you can tell Willie's pretty upset about that. Obviously, something was either said or there was a quick, abrupt shift movement up front to try to draw the offensive lineman offside. That has been a big-time focus in college football this year.
Don't need to be a master lip reader to tell what Willie Fritz was saying. L.J. Martin the carry on 1st and 5, and dragging would-be tacklers for BYU first down. We have our rules expert, Matt Austin, staying up late with us tonight. Matt, you want to help us talk through that last call?
Yeah, I think it was number 18, the nose guard. He shifted very abruptly, a bit of exaggerated arm movement. You know, you can still shift as long as it's nice and smooth. You just can't simulate the snap.
I think that's a good, succinct way to put it. And we had defensive players in the last few years barking out signals, clapping themselves, and then, yeah, I think Matt described it very well.
It's a new rule in college football this year.
That slant is dropped by Darius Lassiter. Not an easy catch, but He gave the thumbs up to Retzloff. He thought he should have held it. Second down. Let's go down to Stormy.
Well, and Dave, Kalani Sitake wants to continue to run the football, by the way. After that last drive and the Moa touchdown, he went up to his running backs and said, we can keep setting you up for fun stuff like this all day as long as you keep holding on to the football. Was preaching ball security, said the ground is hard, hang on, take care of the ball.
We've seen some players slipping. It's below freezing temperatures tonight here in Provo. Second down, handoff straight ahead. LJ Martin bounces it right side. And the ball came out. It's on the frozen turf. And I think BYU recovered. Maybe Keanu Hill, the tight end, came back and prevented the turnover, which would have been extremely damaging.
Just a fantastic effort play by Brandon Mack, number 4, coming all the way from the defensive end position, chasing LJ Martin down the field. Stormy just touched on it. Kalani Sitake said, hey, we will give you guys the football and let you ground and pound, but you need to protect it. That's been an issue for BYU the last couple weeks. Turnovers in critical situations.
So now Martin out and Moe, and that can't make the head coach happy. 3rd and 12 from deep in their own territory. Final 3 minutes of the first half. Retzloff takes off with some blockers ahead. Retzloff took a hit as he tried to get the first down. It's close, but I don't believe that he got there. Jalen Garner, A.J. Halsey combined to make the tackle. I think he's about a half-yard short.
I think you're right, Flem. Aaron Roderick, just a designed quarterback draw. Moa leading the way. Mocassini, 51. It's really close to the line to gain.
It was hard to tell whether that would count as a slide or not. It was kind of a half and half.
This is the 2-minute timeout.
2-minute timeout means that BYU is going to think about, I have to think they're going to punt the ball away. Maybe the replay officials are going to take a look at the spot, make sure it's right. We thought they got the spot correct, and BYU's just a little bit short. Well, whatever you think about mascots, Cosmo's got to be the best daredevil mascot in the country, don't you think?
No fear. No fear in Cosmo.
The little diving twist through the fire ring off the roof of the golf cart, no problem.
And every week it's something different. That's the thing. He's not going back to the same bag of tricks.
Punt for BYU, fair catch at the 35 by Mackay Muse. So Houston gets the ball back, all 3 of their timeouts. 1:53 to go until halftime, and a quick check-in studio with Matt.
All right, Dave, I promise I'll be quick this time. AT&T Studio update. The SEC Championship game is set. Texas and their defense goes into College Station and takes down the Aggies. They will get a rematch with Georgia, 17-7, the final from College Station.
Matt Berry, one bit for being excited about how his Sun Devils are playing. They're one of the hottest teams in college football. They're playing great. They should be ranked higher than they are. And I hope on Tuesday they will be. Because they're playing about as well as anybody. Little fake reverse or fake end around. And then Chris, the quarterback, a straight ahead run for 10 yards. That was a good play.
That was a really good play designed by Sean Bell. Presenting some eye candy to the defense, and the defense took it. Some speed sweeps, the linebackers flew out of the box, and that's what opened up for a clean lane for Chris.
Houston's offense looks totally different here tonight. With the coordinator change, whether that's what has changed or whatever, they didn't snap the ball. Everybody moved, but the center didn't snap it.
False start, offense. Multiple players moved, but the snapper did not snap the ball. It's a 5-yard penalty, first down. BYU has declined the 10-second runoff.
So BYU with their 3 timeouts. They don't want the 10-second runoff because if they can get a negative play, maybe Kalani Sitake uses a timeout and plays it aggressively. We'll see.
That's right. Certainly not the execution Houston wants early in this drive. An opportunity to go get points before halftime. And remember, Houston gets the opening kickoff in the third quarter.
Good reminder. Manjack gets the quick hitter out to the left side and surges ahead. Just a very short gain. Did get out of bounds. It's a huge game, even though BYU's championship hopes have been dashed.
This is going back to the first down play. You're going to see a speed sweep here, and watch the linebackers flow out of the box with this. And this is why Chris has a vacated lane to run for a first down. Since then, they've gone backwards a bit. But going back to offensive coordinator Sean Bell, just calling a heck of a ball game here in the first half.
2nd and 14. BYU wins. It'll be Iowa State ASU in the Big 12 championship. Chris steps up. Chris dumps it off. Incomplete. And that's an incomplete pass. BYU scooped it up and was headed the other way. Stacey Sneed. Pretty good improv play by Chris, but an incompletion at the end of it.
Yeah, that was a great job of Chris staying alive. Glasker came off the edge from his linebacker position, caused the initial pressure. Chris wasn't able to find a completion, and here we are in 3rd and extra long.
If Houston could somehow pull off the upset, then it would be the Buffaloes of Colorado playing ASU next weekend.
You know, and with that incomplete pass, no clock ran, BYU's in a really good situation here if they can get off the field and get the ball back with about a minute left.
Yeah, good point. Houston
takes their first charge timeout of the half.
Trying to get organized here. So they'll use a timeout just to make sure they don't have something really go wrong on 3rd and 14. So we get a minute to remind you, we were talking about the reveal of the next and a very important version of the college football playoff top 25 rankings before the final version a week from Tuesday. Reese and the guys going to break them down top to bottom. A live interview with Ward Manuel, the committee chairman, who has to be a very happy man tonight, as well as projecting the 12-team field, 7 Eastern on ESPN and the app. And we're going to learn a lot about the whole layout potential going into championship weekend. As far as this game is concerned, BYU eliminated. If they win, it'll be Iowa State playing Arizona State. The Sun Devils have locked up their spot. If Houston wins tonight, and it would be a big upset, then it's Colorado and Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter.
And if we see that Colorado Sun Devil matchup that so many people are talking about, you want to talk about some fireworks. Ooh. 2 of the hottest teams in college football right now.
No kidding. And that's not to take away from Iowa State. They got their 10th win. Congratulations to them. Even out of the timeout, Houston looking a little disorganized. On 3rd and long, they'll hand the ball off. Left side run, now cutting it back middle. And a good hit by Batty to get the ball carrier on the ground. Now BYU uses a timeout.
BYU takes their first charge timeout of the half. 30 seconds in late.
It'll be 4th down. Houston's going to punt the ball back to BYU, and they'll have some time to work with.
Yeah, certainly. Great job by that BYU defense. Jack Kelly, linebacker, playing with his hair on fire. Tyler Batty rallying to the tackle. Great job of getting off the field and getting the ball back to their offense. There's plenty of time to operate. You look at it, there's still 2 timeouts. This is a big opportunity for BYU to give themselves some cushion going into halftime.
There's Jay Hill, the defensive coordinator for BYU, who's done an excellent job this year. Had a health scare at the beginning of the year and somehow has coached through a heart attack before the season opener. And they've had a really good season defensively. Jay is rumored to be one of the finalists for the Utah State head coaching job. And supposedly Utah State's going to make a decision in the next week or so.
Kalani Sitake doing everything he can to keep his defensive coordinator and friend here in Provo. You mentioned just done a phenomenal job. This is a defense that leads the Big 12 in forced turnovers this season.
Doherty pinned BYU deep last time. Kingston signals fair catch. This time he lets it go, and it's into the end zone. Just barely, almost a perfect punt, and that's huge. The difference of just a few inches and Houston's inability to grab the ball before it broke the plane. And BYU's going to get 20 yards of cushion.
That's just a gigantic missed opportunity. As an offense, I can tell you it is so difficult when you are backed up inside that 1 yard line. There's not a lot of play calls on the call sheet, especially in the throw game. Missed opportunity by Houston.
By the way, this season All-State celebrates every field goal and extra point made by participating universities by making a donation to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you, All-State. BYU, speaking of, has a very good, reliable, long-distance field goal kicker in Will Farron. So the Cougars are thinking just get the ball even close to midfield, and then you're thinking about field goal range with one more first down or so. L.J. Martin in the backfield. Retzloff back to pass. Is going to dump it to Martin, who will head to the sidelines and duck out of bounds. We'll see where they spot him. Maybe a little short. Yeah, about a yard short. But out of bounds to stop the clock.
That was really good recognition by Retzloff. Nowhere to go with the football down the field. Houston elects to play a very soft zone defense. They wanted to keep the offense in front of them. The only thing available was the check down. Good job checking it down to L.J. Martin and getting some positive yards to start the 2-minute drive.
Second down, pressure picked up. Retzloff going deep middle and incomplete. Man, he had Lassiter out there. There was a little bit of pressure on him, but that was a chance for a big play for BYU.
That's right, Flem. Just a missed opportunity. You can see Darius Lassiter. He beat the corner. He beat the strong safety Webb, who was standing flat-footed at his safety position. That's one Retzloff's going to want back.
On 3rd and 1, BYU runs the ball and gets the first down. They had to make sure they got the first down. Gain of 6. Clock stops to set the chains.
You'd like to see a little bit of urgency and tempo out of BYU here.
I would. BYU, there have been some situations this year where they haven't had that. Retzloff throws deep middle again. This one is caught! Roberts snatched it away. Inside the 20, gets all the way down to the 13. A gain of 52.
What an unbelievable throw by Jake Retzloff. Put it exactly where his wide receiver needed. Chase Roberts beating the cover 2 zone defense, going right down the middle of the field with free access. Perfect throw and catch.
Wow, 3 defenders in the neighborhood. Retzloff put it right there. Now he throws and incomplete. Hit the turf in the end zone, intended for JoJo Phillips. It'll be second down with 15 seconds on the clock.
Let's go back to that explosive gain. You're going to see Chase Roberts, like I said, he got free access in the zone coverage. So gets a free run right down the middle of the field versus the cover 2 defense. And just a perfect throw by Jake Retzloff.
BYU has 2 timeouts, but 15 seconds, not a lot of time here. 2nd and 10. Ball's at the 13. Retzloff, fake swing pass, runs it. Retzloff powers his way. End zone, touchdown. Now that was a great call and a great run by Jake Retzloff. Six plays, 80 yards into the end zone in 50 seconds at the end of the half.
Just fantastic 2-minute drill execution. Aaron Roderick dialing up great plays. Retzloff delivering. Chase Roberts making a big play. So let's go back to the touchdown here. What you're going to see a great job sealing the edge here, and then the tight end's going to loop around, which is really the touchdown sealing block by Tassé. Retzloff isn't touched to the 5-yard line, and you see the contact balance by the quarterback. Excellent vision and patience. Sold pass early in the down. Got great blocking by his teammates. Great play call by Aaron Roderick, and even better execution by his offense.
Swim move into the end zone. Retzloff. And isn't it amazing? This half really felt like Houston for most of the half was outplaying BYU. It's 21-10.
Yeah, it certainly did, but you got to give BYU a lot of credit because they hung in there. And it wasn't pretty early. There was a turnover on the opening drive. There was a couple other missed opportunities. But BYU, they just keep kind of hanging in there, throwing blows, throwing punches. And here they stand 21-10, getting ready to go into halftime.
And you said it at the time, it really was a big play when Houston couldn't pin BYU deep on that punt. They had a chance to. Kick return, left side, and out to about the 29-yard line. Next weekend's ABC College Football Conference Championship lineup kicks off Friday night in the American at 8 Eastern. That's Army and Tulane. And then Saturday at noon, the Dr. Pepper Big 12 title game. We still don't know who that's going to be, followed by the SEC and finally the ACC championship game at 8 Eastern. Clemson and SMU. SEC is going to be Georgia and Texas. Great win by Texas tonight in College Station.
Huge win for the Longhorns. And another thing to keep an eye on, where are the Big 12 teams ranked going into the Big 12 title game next week in comparison to Boise State?
Very important. We might discuss that in the second half if we get a chance to. Coming up on our Lexus halftime report, that Texas A&M showdown we were just talking about. Incredible upset. The Wolverines in Columbus. Rivalry Saturday with crazy results everywhere. All that and more on our Lexus halftime report. And we have hit the half here on senior night in Provo. BYU, great finish to the half for number 19 BYU. 21-10, that's their lead over Houston. We'll get you to studio after this short break. ESPN College Football presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. You're watching the Big 12 Conference on ESPN, the final regular season Big 12 game of the year on this cool, crisp night in Provo, Utah. Number 19 BYU looking for their 10th win of the year with a 21-10 lead over the Houston Cougars. Big underdogs who played well in the first half. The end of the first half did not go well for Houston, so BYU's got the 11-point lead. With the final matchup in the Big 12 championship game still hanging in the balance based on the result of this game. Dave Fleming, Brock Osweiler, Stormy Bonatoni. Glad to have you with us late night here from Provo. Makai Muse outside the 25. That's where Houston's offense will start. Let's go down to Stormy.
And Dave, we talked a lot in the first half about the coordinator change that Houston made this week. I asked Willie Fritz what he thought about the job Sean Bell has done here so far. He said he really impressed with the way that they've been mixing it up, showing some things to BYU that they haven't done this season. Where his issues were, however, were defensively. He said we're not doing good enough against the quarterback draw, and he was disappointed in a lot of those middle of the field big plays that they were allowing. He said we got to close those gaps. As for BYU head coach Kalani Sitake, he kind of said without saying that he knows the situation that they are in now. He said his team needs to play with character, control their controllables, and he liked the way they played in that second quarter. Got to carry that over here.
Handoff on the first play of the second half, and I believe the penalty is going to be against Houston. Sanford had nowhere to go. But I would imagine that the BYU Cougars will want to march Houston backwards.
Number 6, offense. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, that's tight end Malik Carr, and he had a really tough job on that last play. He was having to block Tyler Batty, the all-conference defensive end, 6'5", 275 pounds, one-on-one. You see the jersey get tugged, easy call for the officials.
Tyler Batty, he's had a great year. He's had a great career. He's having a heck of a senior night. He's been everywhere.
Interception in the first half, making plays.
So first and 20, Houston. Chris, little double fake, and then found his receiver. That's Devin Williams. His first catch of the night. Crew Wakely with the tackle.
It was a really heads-up play by Chris. Defensive back was trying to blow up the quick screen that Houston was trying to get off, but Chris recognized it. Otherwise, he was probably going to throw an interception. That's why you saw the pump fake, and he was able to find a completion to Williams.
It's funny, isn't it? We asked Houston's coaches about Zion Chris this week, because you look at his numbers for the year, 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, just not all that impressive. And they, to a person, said, yeah, we think he can be our guy. We're really high on him. Spin around move, and then A broken tackle or two from Stephon Johnson across the 30 out to the 34, gain of 9.
It's a great job by Johnson making a couple defenders miss. Mark Collins was the first coming up from his cornerback position and trail technique trying to make a play. And this is what Houston's done all night. They've gotten the football out of Chris's hands very quickly, out to the perimeter, get the ball out to your playmakers. You got to give them a lot of credit making guys miss.
On these kind of plays, we've often seen Chris run it himself. 3rd and 2. We'll see here. He is going to keep it straight ahead. First down and more. Chris outside the 40 down to the 43. So 8 more yards on the ground for the quarterback.
Great job by the left guard, 66 done. You see he wins his one-on-one block inside. Just opens up a big hole to pick up a first down for the Houston Cougars.
Sean Bell and that walkie-talkie, it's working tonight.
Everything's working. He's calling a heck of a game. Found out he was going to be the offensive coordinator on Tuesday. And that's a big task, you know, to put together a game plan, how you're going to call the game. First-time college offensive coordinator. Doing a fantastic job here tonight.
Houston takes their first charge, timeout of the half.
They have to burn a timeout on 1st and 10 here. We'll come back to Provo right after this.
Get 50% off your first year of Target Circle 360 membership with unlimited same-day delivery.
They do sell a lot of cougar tails here in Provo.
And I have to be honest, I now understand why. I just had my first bite of one. It was fantastic.
They also put themselves on sweatshirts here. Yeah, what should I put on this custom sweatshirt? How about me? 1st and 10 Houston. Screen set up and well defended. Johnson just got swallowed up. And guess who? Tyler Batty is having a monster game.
Such good recognition and feel by the senior defensive end. Not fooled for a second. He could tell that the offensive tackle was trying to release out on a screen. He's seen that look 1,000 times in his 44 career starts. Great play by Batty.
So much experience, so much pride for this program. We saw a quick glimpse of his family in the stands. 2nd and 14 after the loss of 4. Stacy Snead in the backfield. Pressure picked up. Chris, though, backpedaling and throws an interception. Jack Kelly, the linebacker, picks him off.
Forward is an interception. First down, BYU.
And that's exactly what Houston was trying to avoid. Chris, 3 interceptions a week ago. Give a lot of credit to the BYU front. Getting Chris off of his spot. There was pressure up the middle. And when you're sliding backwards and left, throwing back across your body is never going to work out in your favor. Jack Kelly there to make the play, make the quarterback pay.
And you and I have seen a lot of Jack Kelly this year. I know you really like him and think he's got a chance to play in the NFL.
No question. And he plays outside linebacker here in this BYU scheme, but with the size and speed that he has and natural feel for the game, there's a great chance he plays middle linebacker on Sundays. But nevertheless, just a great player for the BYU Cougars. And it's all smiles right now on the sideline.
So Houston, they led 7-0. They led 10-7. You could sort of sense after that turnover, maybe things starting to slip away. L.J. Martin with a good run over the right side, inside the 35, down to the 34. 8-yard gain on first down.
You know, in BYU, you talk about the situation in the game. They've done such a good job playing complementary football tonight. Offense playing off of the defense, vice versa, getting a play on special teams, a touchdown on a kickoff return. Be interesting to see what BYU does here. I know it's in Aaron Roderick's system to like to take a shot here on 2nd and short, knowing it's probably 4-down territory. Don't be surprised if you see Chase Roberts get the football at the bottom of your screen.
They will instead just hand it off, and a cutback run by Martin, who gets the first down, but not a whole lot more inside the 30. And you made the point. There's Aaron Roderick. You know, look, what's at stake tonight after Iowa State's win? BYU cannot play for the Big 12 championship, but we still don't know who's going to be Arizona State's opponent. The outcome of this game matters in that regard. And you said it. BYU can get their 10th win. If they're really impressive, you consider all the chaos of the last couple weeks. Who knows? BYU, they have a road win at SMU. They pounded Kansas State. They have some good wins on their resume. Maybe they can make a last-minute argument as a 2-loss team, even if they don't play in the Big 12 title game, to be included. Maybe so.
Well, and that's a great point. Currently, they're ranked 19th. If they're going to get an at-large spot, they're going to have to get inside that top 12. You know, it'll be interesting to see where the committee ranks some of these teams after losses this week. Miami, Ohio State, other teams out there. But you said it, Flem. BYU, they have some really quality wins. And if you look at their 2 losses, it's to a Kansas team and an Arizona State team who are arguably 2 of the hottest teams in all of college football when BYU had to face them.
So just to make the point that it's not like BYU now is playing for nothing tonight. 1st and 10, Cougars. Play fake, Retzloff down the right sideline and a catch! What a catch by Keelan Marion. He had to know a defender was coming for him. Great concentration, 1st down, gain of 17.
Such great play design. Keelan Marion was lined up at running back in the backfield. The receivers ran out all the defenders. Nobody was left for Marion. Great play design by Aaron Roderick. Great throw and catch.
He's had some big plays down the stretch here for BYU. Keelan Marion has. So it's not quite 1st and goal, BYU. Martin gets the ball. Trying to turn that corner. Does. Inside the 5. Put a hit on the defender, A.J. Halsey. 7 more yards on the ground.
Yeah, and this is a good sign for the BYU offense. They've really struggled running the football the last couple weeks. Last week on the road against Arizona State, they were sub 100 yards total for the entirety of the game, and tonight they're already sitting at 145 rushing yards. Retzloff's had his hand in that. Moa, Martin. It's been very impressive by the offensive line.
Again, statistically, the best defense in the Big 12 this year. Houston. Moa and Marion in the backfield. And it's going to be Retzloff who keeps it. Retzloff stacked up and trying to get some help from his teammates. Never went down. Jake Retzloff is a tough kid. Michael Batten led the way. It'll be 3rd and short.
BYU bringing in heavy personnel. Ray Paulo, 42, kind of a fullback, H-back guy. Tassa coming on the field.
Broke the huddle kind of late and then bobbled the snap. And who's going to fall on it? Houston. I think they have the ball.
The ruling on the field is a fumble recovery by the defense. 1st down, Houston.
Kentrell Webb came away with
Timeout
it.
on the field.
Amazing.
What an unbelievably critical mistake by the BYU Cougars. Connor Pay put the football for Retzloff to grab it. Houston ball when we come back.
Want the latest on today's games? Just tell Siri, show me the college football scores.
Back here in Provo, and when you actually see those college football scores, you might say, Siri, are you sure those are right? Huh? At least a couple of them.
How about that game in Columbus, Ohio today?
Amazing. Yeah, Ohio State was like a 23-point favorite, and instead they lose their 4th straight rivalry game.
Michigan just played great defense, ran the ball. Then you had the great game up in the dome between Syracuse and Miami.
Miami was up 21-0 and lost that game, and probably cost themselves a chance to be in the playoff, which will really sting because this is their year with Cam Ward.
No doubt. No doubt. And now they're not playing, like you said, in the ACC title. Do they get an at-large berth? It's going to be tough.
I mean, they are still in the mix. They are. When you do the math and really look at it, it might come down to, say, Miami against a 3-loss SEC team for the final spot, maybe.
That's a good argument.
2nd and 9 after the BYU turnover, about to go in and score. Houston will run the ball ineffectively. Batty wrestles the ball carrier Sanford. It'll be 3rd and long.
Boy, Batty, Nelson, Mangelson, all those guys on the inside, just nowhere to go for the Houston Cougars with that football. This defensive line is really starting to show up for BYU.
2 really sloppy turnovers for BYU in this game, and that last one just a drop snap where they were looking like they were going to be up 28-10 and on their way. Maybe keeping Colorado's hopes of playing for the Big 12 championship alive.
Keep an eye on Tyler Batty.
He's been everywhere. Chris is going to run it, and there he is. Batty, who was on the outside, just pinched in and smacked Chris to make sure he didn't get close. Another tackle for Tyler Batty.
Yeah, he says, not on me, not tonight. Just playing inspired football. His dad loves it. You see his family there in the stands. Just playing a heck of a ball game here on senior night. And what a fantastic job as a defensive unit with sudden change. Back against the wall, your offense just turned it over, giving the football right back to your offense.
He's got 7 tackles, a tackle and a half for loss. He's got an interception. He's got QB pressures. Houston punts the ball. And it's going to be a fair catch. Signal, and then a muff! And Houston has it. I think the long snapper is the guy who sprinted down and actually recovered the fumble, Jacob Garza.
On the field is the kick was touched by the receiving team and recovered by the kicking team. 1st down, Houston.
I mean, it's amazing how many mistakes like this BYU is making.
It's the self-inflicted wounds and the unforced errors by the BYU Cougars. That's why they've lost their last 2 football games. It's showing its ugly head here once again. Just when you're about to give the football back to your offense at midfield, Houston, essentially that's an explosive gain for their offense, and now they're getting ready to cross midfield.
Exactly. 1st and 10 Cougars of the Houston kind. A little pitch back play, trying to get a block. And that was pretty well defended by BYU. Stephon Johnson still found a way to get 4. So BYU's turnovers, 2 guys ran into each other on a sort of a trick play, almost reverse-like play, a drop snap, and a muff punt return.
Yeah, like I said, they were not forced errors, you know, just silly football, not executing the way Kalani Sitake expects his football team to, and the way they have the majority of the football season. And what a great opportunity here for Houston with the football.
Great chance for Houston. Chris from the shotgun, rolling right. Is going to throw deep down the right sideline, and a leaping attempt. And I think Devin Williams actually caught it, but he's out of bounds. What an effort by Williams.
Fantastic effort, and he really won the one-on-one matchup outside with Bamba. He had him beat. If Chris is able to keep him inside the field to play and just kind of pull him towards the inside of the field, there's a huge opportunity downfield for Houston.
Williams is hurting after that effort.
Well, I can promise you that turf feels like concrete down there right now.
Cold night in Provo. 3rd and 5. Play clock winding all the way down, and man, it's another one of those situations. We see it so much now with substitutions and the officials.
Houston takes their 1st charge timeout of the half. Second charge timeout of the half.
Houston's already had to burn 2 timeouts. They had to do it there. The play clock was down to 1. So we'll take a timeout ourselves. 21-10 BYU. Houston ball after this. There's the Taco Bell Live Más student section all season long. Student sections across the country competing to be the Taco Bell Live Más student section of the year. Download the Taco Bell app to learn more. It is a spirited student section in Provo. BYU looking for its 10th win, making some mistakes though, keeping Houston in this game. Out of the timeout, 3rd and 5. Houston near midfield. Chris takes a snap. Chris throws middle behind his receiver Johnson. Incomplete, and it's 4th and 5. So a great job by BYU's defense after the muffed punt to stop Houston.
Yeah, this is a really good simulated pressure by Jay Hill. He brings the two inside backers, and then both defensive ends drop, which is why Chris is not able to lead his wide receiver Johnson, because there's a defensive end standing there waiting to blow up the play. Excellent play call by Jay Hill and execution by his defense.
High punt, beautiful punt, fair catch, and it lands at the 1 and bounces into the end zone. So that'll be another touchback. With 5:11 to go, third quarter, 21-10, BYU. Houston trying to play from behind. And a lot of positives for the Houston offense, but they've sort of stalled out here over the last half quarters. So, meanwhile, Kalani Sitake's offense has been moving the ball, just making too many mistakes.
Yeah, and you really get the sense this drive for BYU, you know, the game's 21-10, but BYU's had so many missed opportunities tonight. You just mentioned those turnovers by the offense. So I'm sure Kalani Sitake would love to see his team put together a good, healthy drive, execute at a high level, and get some points. Because if you let Houston hang around and into the fourth quarter, that's just when things get weird.
A lot of games have been very weird late for BYU this year. They're trying to take the weirdness out tonight. Retzloff, deep middle, and it is caught in traffic, even with a penalty flag thrown. JoJo Phillips came down with it. 41 yards.
Pass interference, number 34, defense. The penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down for BYU.
Well, Aaron Roderick just dialing it up, another great play. Here's the wide receiver, JoJo Phillips, and he's going to get matched up down the field on a middle linebacker for Houston. That's Michael Batten, and that's going to be a mismatch. That linebacker's not going to be able to run with JoJo Phillips, and Retzloff once again puts the football where only his wide receiver can make a play on the ball. And JoJo Phillips does a fantastic job reeling in that pass.
Into Houston territory, just like that. Retzloff back to pass again. Throws middle again, wide open, and a drop. So JoJo Phillips caught the first one and dropped that one. Go figure.
Wow. Just slightly behind him, but still, that's a pass that he needs to reel in for his quarterback. And if he does, there's nothing but green grass all around him. He's going to have an opportunity to score. And that's been BYU football lately. One step forward, two step back, drops, penalties, miscues, unforced errors.
They had some chances last week against Arizona State with some receivers running open, whether it was the receiver or the quarterback not delivering the ball. But then some plays left out there. Marion, jet sweep, spins and tries to get to that sideline, gets shoved out of bounds, short gain of 3. Got to be frustrating for BYU fans, for BYU coaches, for everybody.
Well, Kalani Sitake said to us this week, you know, it would be great to be able to find a game that didn't cause so much stress on our hearts, you know, that didn't come down to the final possession. And so you look at the opportunities for BYU, going back to it, this is a critical drive for them to put some space in this game. Because once again, if this Houston offense gets rolling like they did in the first half, things could get very interesting in the fourth quarter.
3rd and 7, BYU. Pressure comes. Retzloff takes a big hit, delivers the ball. Pass dropped, penalty flag thrown. I think Houston's going to be called for a hit on the quarterback. Another drop. This time the tight end Hill. But I think this penalty's going against the Cougars. Of Houston. It's hard doing a game where the mascot's the same on both sides.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 4, defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So Brandon Mack called for the 15-yard penalty.
I'll be honest, I don't really see it. I mean, it seems to be a bang-bang play. I don't see a hit to the head or neck area, nothing low, and I think Willie Fritz agrees with me right now. Feels like that shouldn't have been roughing the passer.
Yeah, he's been upset with a few calls tonight. Almost like a wishbone for BYU. They got 3 running backs in the backfield with Retzloff. And they're going to give it to Malahine, who has not played much. He's been hurt for a good portion of the year. Enoch Nawahine. No gain.
What does BYU do with the football now that they're back down in the red zone? There's been 2 turnovers down here already tonight, unforced errors. Can BYU punch this in and give themselves some space heading into the 4th quarter?
2nd and 10. To fake that little screen. Houston, you could tell, saw it coming and almost intercepted. Keelan Marion, the intended target. Jeremiah Wilson, who's got 4 picks on the year, had a pick 6 last week. I think he was thinking about taking it all the way here.
He certainly was, and this was a play he normally makes. Jeremiah Wilson, one of the best cornerbacks in the Big 12 Conference when it comes to feel and instincts. His football savvy on the field is just elite, and you can see the expression. He knows that's a play that he should have made, and he normally does make.
That was interesting. As soon as Lassiter motioned in the backfield, you could hear the Houston coaches on the sideline screaming, fake screen, fake screen. Retzloff, quarterback keeper. Retzloff trying to power his way ahead. I think he got there. The quarterback run has been big for Jake Retzloff tonight.
And really the entire season for the BYU Cougars. Coming into the game tonight, he had the 2nd most rush attempts on the entire team. So he's a big part of what Aaron Roderick and this football team, they want to do offensively when it comes to the run game.
So the penalty for a conversion on 3rd down. Now on 3rd and long, the quarterback run for a conversion. Sione Moa in the backfield with Retzloff, 1st and 10. They're going to throw, incomplete. Penalties, 3 of them. Almost everybody who could possibly throw a flag on that play threw one.
Pass interference, number 12, defense. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic 1st down.
This is Darius Lassiter working on Carter up top. Easy call for the officials. Way too much disruption on the wide receiver. You see the jersey being tugged. A lot of contact down the field.
Number 5, Keith Cooper, Jr.
So now it'll be 1st and goal, BYU. And Keith Cooper, one of their best players on the turf, and maybe holding that right shoulder arm. Came with Willie Fritz from Tulane. He's really had a good year.
Yeah, and he's a huge piece of this defense. And they're 4-down sub packages. He plays a true defensive end position. But when they get into base against bigger offensive personnel groupings, he moves down to a 5 technique, which is basically like an inside defensive tackle, which at 6'5", 280 pounds, and it allows him to be a dynamic player, great athlete. Hopefully he'll be able to get back on the field soon for Houston.
Meanwhile, 1st and goal, BYU. Controlling play in this 3rd quarter, but so far they haven't turned that into points.
Yeah, I suspect BYU to give a heavy dose of LJ Martin and Sione Moa from the running back position. Kalani Sitake wants to win with physicality. They've had success running the football in the low red zone tonight.
They've got both of them in the backfield. They will fake it to Martin, give it to Moa. Moa down to the 2, maybe the 1. Sione Moa, he's only a freshman. He is a powerful runner.
Very powerful, 5'10", 215 pounds, true freshman, but plays with great pad level on contact. He keeps his legs driving and moving. He's someone to keep an eye on in the years to come.
They got another young running back we saw early in the year, Brock, Pokai Haunga, who also very talented. I think they're bullish on the future of their running back room. Under center, Retzloff. Martin behind him. 2nd and goal. LJ Martin straight ahead. Martin couldn't get there. Houston stopped him. It'll be 3rd and goal.
Quindario Lee, big number 99, did a fantastic job for Houston, defeating a double team at the point of attack and getting into the backfield to force the 3rd and goal.
9th play of this drive for Aaron Roderick. And I have to think that BYU's thinking 2 plays to get a yard.
Absolutely.
We're not kicking a field goal.
No, this is certainly 4-down territory. Question is it another run or is it play action?
Again under center. Retzloff, little jet sweep, and Marion got either tripped or just slipped. Keelan Marion lost yardage. So on 3rd and goal, they go backwards with that play call.
I think you're right, Flem. I think he just slipped. You can tell the footing's it hasn't been ideal down there tonight. Sub-freezing temperatures down there on the field. You're going to get some of that. You got to be good with your feet. You got to keep them underneath your body, and you can see the speed that Keelan Marion was trying to hit that edge with and make a turn. Feet just got outside his shoulders.
And I don't blame the head coach for being upset about that. That's 3rd and goal from the 1 with your power back in the backfield. And almost like you invited that kind of mistake there. Farron kicks a field goal from 22 yards. There is a penalty flag on the field, though. So we'll have to see. It makes it a 14-point game, 24-10, final seconds of the 3rd quarter.
The field goal was successful. After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 79, BYU, for throwing a player off the pile. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
Caden Chichester, offensive lineman, in on the special teams, and he gets called for the 15-yard penalty.
I don't know about that one, Flem.
That's pretty weak.
Yeah, that's a bit soft.
Well, BYU does turn that long drive, 10 plays, 76 yards, into 3 points, but I think Kalani Sitake is going to be frustrated again with the way the drive ended.
Well, he's seen in a lot of ways his team regress in certain areas. Up until just a couple weeks ago, this was a team that they didn't hurt themselves. They didn't have penalties like you're seeing. They didn't turn the football over. They didn't do silly things that were unforced. And that's really kind of been the MO for BYU the last couple weeks. There's been some great moments. There's also been some bad moments, and that's exactly what we've seen tonight.
All in all, though, BYU in control this game with 17 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. After the penalty, though, all the way back at the 20, they'll kick it off from there. So Houston at least has an opportunity to get some better field position. We'll see. Muse takes it across the 25, and good coverage by BYU overall. Just outside the 30 is where Houston will start. We honor those who serve. Brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. And spotlighting Major Brent Taylor, graduated from BYU in 2006. Served 12 years as an officer in the U.S. Army National Guard, 8 years of active duty, and was killed in the line of duty in Afghanistan in November of 2018. The Wilkinson Student Center Reflection Rooms Memorial honors his life and legacy. And they honor all those BYU students who have given their lives in service of our country, including Major Taylor. Could be final play of the quarter. It's not been a good quarter for Houston's offense. A gain of 2, maybe 3 on first down, and that will be the final play of quarter number 3. 1 more quarter to go in the regular season in the Big 12. BYU with a 2-touchdown lead. Last chance for these BYU fans at home this season. It's been a special year for BYU, and they do enjoy their football in this great state of Utah. Number 19 BYU looking for their 10th win on a cold night Thanksgiving weekend here in big numbers, leading 24-10 As we start the fourth quarter, Houston got to get it going on offense. Zion Chris completes his first pass of the quarter for a gain out to the 39. Tackled by Jack Kelly. Stacy Sneed with the catch. It's going to be third down. Brock, Houston had 30 total yards in the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give all the credit to BYU's defense. They went in at halftime. Obviously, Jay Hill, Kalani Sitake made some adjustments. And the thing that I've really seen, it's the front seven for BYU that have taken this second half over. They're bringing a lot of pressure from the linebacker position, and the defensive front are holding up in their gaps.
Burnett, the tailback, 3rd and 2. Chris will keep it. Chris really does a good job on those plays, but not this time. I thought he was going to get it, but Miles Hall, playing in place of Harrison Taggart, wrestled him backwards, and he stopped short.
Yeah, that was a really good job of Miles Hall diagnosing the play very quickly and then just triggering to the quarterback, Zion Chris, before he get to the line to gain.
So now it's 4th and 1. And Houston, you can see why Willie Fritz feels like they got to go for it. They have not been good on 4th down this year. Chris, handoff and a first down. Burnett got low and snuck his way through.
Just such a great job by the right side of the offensive line, as well as Burnett. You mentioned his pad level did a fantastic job getting below that defensive front to pick up a very critical and a gotta-have-it moment first down for the Houston Cougars.
That was a gotta-have-it. They had to have that one. So 1st and 10, Houston. Play fake. Chris going deep. And a jump ball penalty thrown. Intended for Manjack, who actually had a step, then tried to come back to the ball. And I believe the penalty is going to be against BYU. He had 2 defenders.
Pass interference, number 22, defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
They'll call it on the freshman safety, Tommy Prasis.
Yeah, and it's also Jacob Robinson in coverage initially. So tough for Tommy Prasis. You know, initially they were in great coverage, but when that ball is so underthrown, it's so hard for the defender to adjust. But nevertheless, first down for Houston.
And of course, in college, no spot or foul on pass interference, so just 15 yards into BYU territory. Chris in the pocket, throws middle, nice catch. And there's that big tight end who's so tough to get down. He's still going. They finally blow the whistle. They never tackled him. Malik Carr with the catch and run for 20 yards.
Yeah, it's a really good job of Chris recognizing the matchup that Carr has. He's matched up on a safety that's playing soft and about 10 to 12 yards off from the line of scrimmage. Carr's going to win that. You see the big body of Carr, 6'6", 265 pounds. Easy target to throw to over the middle of the field.
Another first down, Houston. Sneed in the backfield. BYU showing some pressure at the line of scrimmage. Chris swings it out to Sneed, right side. Sneed, good burst. Sneed inside the 15. More tough running from him. Prasis made the tackle, but Houston's on the move.
Yeah, and you got to give a lot of credit outside to Manjack and Muse for the blocking that they do out there on the perimeter. For Sneed, did an excellent job of securing level 1. And that's what allowed Sneed to get to the second level and make a play.
2nd and a yard. Houston needs a touchdown here. Down 14 in the fourth quarter with the clock running. They'll hand it off. Sneed spins around and falls forward. And maybe with that second effort, maybe got the yard they needed. Blake Mangelson made the tackle.
Yeah, that was a great job by Mangelson, just showing his strength on the inside, kind of making contact with the offensive tackle, using one hand to hold him off and then keeping his outside hand free Just a fantastic job by the senior defensive tackle inside.
And despite that effort, it is a Houston first down. They can get another first down at about the 3-yard line. Hand off, right side. Sanford, just not a lot of room. Mangelson again.
He's playing a heck of a game inside. He's somebody that transitioned from the defensive end position to defensive tackle during the spring, put on some added weight and strength in the weight room, and it's really shown up this year, and he's had a fantastic season for BYU.
Yeah, Stormy had a really cool conversation with him. A guy had never handed anything in his football career. He's a former walk-on. Burnett in the backfield now on 2nd down and 9. Burnett gets it and tripped up. Down to the 10. Let's go down to Stormy.
Well, you set it up so nicely there. Yeah, Blake Mangelson, such a great story. Comes from a 3A high school in Nephi, Utah. And you mentioned him walking on. Because he wasn't on scholarship when he started his career, he had a job working nights part-time as a janitor at a local power plant. Shifts that at times, he told me, included game days. So he would play, go home, eat, get changed, and head to the plant to clean for a couple hours. And reflecting on those times now and the career that he's been able to put together has been so special to see.
Really amazing stuff.
How about that work ethic and character? Unbelievable.
3rd and 7. Play clock winding down. Houston gets it snapped. They give it on the end around. And trying to get to the corner. They do. Johnson gets walloped out of bounds. But Stephon Johnson gets the Houston first down.
Once again, just great blocking on the perimeter by Houston, securing level 1. And that's what allows Johnson to get behind the defense and flirt with that goal line. It's a big-time hit coming in by Mark Collins from his cornerback position. I'll tell you what, it's cold down there, but the pads have been popping all night.
1st and goal. Houston trying to make this a 1-score game. Chris swings it out, incomplete for Johnson. And Chris unhappy with himself. 2nd and goal.
Yeah, and I know why he's unhappy. He's been a very accurate passer tonight, but this one's just slightly off target to Johnson. That's a pass where if he puts it on Johnson, it's a walk-in touchdown. Zion Chris knows it.
So Johnson off the field for this 2nd down play. Receiver coming in motion actually slipped. Chris keeps it. Chris left side. Tried to reach ahead. Touchdown. That ball just barely
On the field is a touchdown.
crossed the plane. And Houston is indicating they want to go for 2 here.
Wow, just that left side of the offensive line as well as the tight ends, Carr and York.
That's so dangerous. You saw him stick that ball out, but I think he did get it there.
Oh yeah, that's touchdown. Great job securing that front. Tight ends, left side of the offensive line. And Duquay. And then you had running back Burnett leading up for his quarterback. Fantastic execution.
So going for 2, down 8. You can see the logic in this. 8:34 to go. Chris buying some time. Now looking back left. He's going to throw it wide open. Caught for 2. That's Mekhi Muse. And it's just a 6-point lead for BYU.
Well, great answer by Houston. Mekhi Muse just gets lost in the zone coverage, working all the way right to left. We have a ball game here in the 4th quarter, and Sean Bell is fired up.
The mountaintop national champion.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
And who knows, part of the playoff bracket in the first year of the 12-team playoff is still potentially impacted by the result of this game. Arizona State is in. If BYU wins, it'll be Iowa State against ASU next weekend in the Big 12 championship. But that touchdown and two-point conversion has kept Colorado's hopes very much alive. If Houston pulls off an upset tonight, Colorado would be the team to play Arizona State next weekend in Arlington. So this is a huge 8-34 for BYU, for Colorado, for Iowa State, for Arizona State to find out what team they're going to play. And now the Houston defense comes back on the field, trailing just 24-18. Got to give Willie Fritz's team credit because they have nothing to play for. Fired their offensive coordinator. Disappointing year. 2 straight games without an offensive touchdown. They played a lot better tonight.
They really have. On defense, they forced 3 turnovers. Offense, one of the best outputs of the season. This is going to be a fun 8 minutes.
And an incompletion. Retzloff just kind of zinged it through the hands of Darius Lassiter. After the play fake, it's 2nd and 10.
They're just trying to get a little perimeter bubble screen started. The throw's exactly where it needs to be. It's going to be a drop for Lassiter. Not the start that you want to the drive for BYU. See if they can get some positive yards here on 2nd down to make it 3rd and manageable.
Retzloff's had some big plays, but he's only 8 for 17 for the game. There have been some drops, more than just that one. Retzloff, lots of time, and then that time ended, and he took a pop. My goodness. Anthony Holmes. And that pass sort of floated up there and hung for a few seconds. It's 3rd down.
That's Holmes working on Bruce Mitchell, the backup right guard. Fantastic job of winning. Retzloff had a lot of time to throw that football, just nowhere to go with the ball down the field. I think you need to give a lot of credit to Houston's secondary.
There's no foul for intentional grounding. The quarterback's arm was hit when he was throwing the ball. It's 3rd down.
Okay, good clarification. 3rd and 10, though. Chance for Houston's defense to get a quick stop, a 3 and out.
And this stadium is just silent. They cannot believe what they're witnessing right now. This is a crucial 3rd down in the game.
Retzloff is going to spin back left, looking downfield, trying to get those shoulders squared, had nowhere to go, throws it incomplete. It's 4th and 10.
When you see the frustration on Jake Retzloff's face, and it's just because there's nowhere to go with the football. Shield Wood and his defensive unit doing a fantastic job covering these BYU's wide receivers. Just absolutely nowhere to go with the football for Retzloff. And here's BYU once again punting to a Houston offense that has all the momentum in the world right now.
I mean, that whole sequence took 17 seconds off the clock. 8:18 still to go in this game. Houston's going to get the ball, and maybe with pretty good field position. We'll see. It's an important punt. And it's not a real booming punt. Fair catch made at about the 37. We got a ball game, and we got a developing story here in Provo.
ESPN College Football is presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. 19 hotel brands, 1 loyalty program. Download the app. And in part by Mercedes-Benz.
Hey, we got a ball game here in Provo, and part of the reason is we're going to make it our Cheez-It crunch time. That last sequence by the BYU offense, Houston defense.
Yeah, 3 and out by the BYU Cougars, electing to throw on all 3 plays on that sequence, which really surprises me because the BYU run game really has been successful tonight, but you have to give a ton of credit to this Houston defense. Shieldwood, their defensive coordinator, there was fantastic coverage downfield on all 3 plays. And here we go. Houston has the ball in their hand with a chance to go take the lead.
I mean, BYU lead in the 4th quarter at home. Stephon Johnson stepped out of bounds. Just short of a 1st down. Otherwise, a much bigger gain was coming, and he knows it. But still a gain of 9 to start the drive. You're averaging 5.5 yards a carry, BYU is. You're at home with a lead, and you didn't run the ball once on that drive.
Yeah, I'm really shocked. And that's the identity that BYU wants to play and win with ultimately, is a physical offensive line that runs the football to win. Electing to go with 3 straight passes a series ago.
Second and 1, Zion Chris. Will fake it to Johnson, straight ahead. Chris, 1st down, tried to cut, maybe slipped, took a little hit, but into BYU territory.
Well, Sean Bell just dialing it up all night long. You see the hole that Zeon Chriss has to run through on that play, and that's because there was some eye candy presented to the linebackers with a speed sweep, and you saw the linebackers fly out of the box, which opened up a huge lane for Chriss.
That walkie-talkie's humming tonight. Muse in motion, handoff. Left side run. And Sanford inside the 45 down to the 43. Let's go down to Stormy.
Well, and Dave, you could sense on this Houston sideline how much confidence and energy they have. Much of it coming from interim offensive coordinator Sean Bell, who at one point I saw running down the sideline telling his guys, "I told you." He also ran up to his offensive line and said, "Hey, football's fun, huh? You like football." Just encouraging these guys left and right.
That's great.
Yeah, it's hard not to appreciate the attitude.
Yeah, you love hearing that. If you're not having fun playing football, I don't know what you're doing.
Well, BYU saw that one coming, and Sanford goes backwards. So a big stop by Jack Kelly and Tanner Wall for a loss of a yard or two to set up third down. And that clock is rolling.
It really is. And this run, another tough run by the running back room. This time it's Sanford to make it 3rd and medium.
Sanford still in the game. Under 6 minutes to go. Probably 4-down territory for Houston. Zeon Chriss, pressure picked up. He's going deep down the sideline, incomplete. Trying to hit Muse just a little too deep. Incomplete. It's 4th down.
Yeah, and Muse had a step. It was going to need to be a perfect throw. But great recognition by Chriss to find his go-to matchup outside. It's man-to-man coverage. And that's Muse on Jacob Robinson, who's been a fantastic cornerback for BYU for a number of years. And here we go, 4th and 7.
Chriss pressured, and he loses it. Ball's on the turf and not picked up. Houston had it, now it is picked up. Mangelson inside the 20.
Moving on field as they fumble, recovered by the defense. First down, BYU.
A huge play for the BYU defense.
Unbelievable. Jack Kelly. We talked about him, how he's been flying around all year long for the BYU Cougars. Forces the fumble and completely changes the trajectory of this football game. Keep an eye on Jack Kelly, number 17. Chriss might have just lost that football trying to throw it on second glance. And there's Mangelson to secure the football and give BYU the opportunity to close the door on Houston.
So 4th down, it was going to be BYU ball no matter what, but then the fumble and the ball spinning along the turf backwards and backwards, and it turns into a great situation here for BYU. Willie Fritz trying to urge his team on. His defense has to come up with an answer. Mangelson, we've spotlighted those guys all game. The seniors have played so well tonight, especially those senior defensive linemen.
No doubt, going out in style.
Hey, BYU handed it off. I kind of figured that was coming. L.J. Martin inside the 10. Powerful run on 1st down, gain of 9.
That is the formula to win this football game. Give the ball to L.J. Martin, 6'2", 225 pounds. Aaron Roderick knows that. You're going to get a heavy dose of L.J. Martin here in the run game.
And they're also going to let that clock roll.
L.J. Martin, somebody who was injured early on this season. It really hurt the run game for BYU. He was the team's leading rusher a season ago as a true freshman. But since he's been back in the lineup basically at the midway point of the season, this has been a different team when they give him the football 20+ times a game.
Martin again. And did get the first down. Forward progress just enough, it looks like, to make it 1st and goal BYU.
Well, and BYU is already in fantastic position. The whole key here, just be smart with the football. A field goal makes it a 2-possession game. Clock's rolling down to 4 minutes. You know, it's going to take a near miracle for Houston. So for BYU, be smart with the ball. You can probably wrap this thing up.
You got a very reliable field goal kicker on a day where it was in full display of how important that can be in this sport. Another carry for Martin, left side, cuts it back middle, and goes down just inside the 5. And now a Houston player is down, hurting. So we'll check on who that is. I think Hershey McLaurin. Hopefully he's okay. Back right after this.
Gain of 2 on the previous play.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. Yeah, it's a cool scene from high on top of Lavelle Edwards Stadium. 24-18, 3:39 to go, 4th quarter. Coming up on SportsCenter, once we are finished, we'll have that view as we exit the stadium. But they're getting ready for a full SportsCenter with lots to talk about. It was an amazing Michigan win at Ohio State. Longhorns, Aggies, we had to wait 13 years with a spot in the SEC championship game on the line. Very impressed by the Longhorns tonight. Who's in? First look at the projected CFP bracket and a whole lot more. Linda Cohn, Stan Barrett from LA on ESPN and the ESPN app, and we're done. And Colorado fans, Iowa State fans still watching intently. Arizona State fans, the outcome of this game determines the final slot on championship weekend. LJ Martin is going to go backwards on 2nd and goal. Houston will call a quick timeout. So it'll be 3rd and goal.
Houston takes their 3rd and final charge timeout of the half. Clock operator, please reset the game clock to 2 minutes and 57 seconds.
That's their final timeout of the half. They had to burn 2 earlier. Just as a reminder, ASU's in. The Sun Devils are going to play for the Big 12 championship in Arlington on Saturday. If BYU hangs on and wins this game, then it'll be Iowa State that plays ASU. If Houston somehow comes back and wins this one, the Colorado Buffaloes with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and all their star power, they'll be the team heading to Arlington.
And isn't that just so fitting for how the Big 12 played out this year, that we need to wait till the final game, the final minutes, to find out who's going to play for the Big 12 title? It's been such a fun conference to watch and cover all season long. The back and forth, the excitement, just spectacular.
And I think this is going to be the norm. It's so true. It's a good point you make. Bigger conferences, more parity with player transfers, the portal, all that stuff. I think we're going to see this year after year.
The thing about Arizona State picked to take dead last in the conference. Colorado was back there in the back third. So was BYU. And look who we're talking about.
Those are the best teams in the league this year.
Unbelievable.
3rd and goal. Moa in the backfield with Retzlaff. Now Retzlaff all alone. He's going to run it. Jake Retzlaff, and touchdown! His 2nd rushing touchdown of the game. And now a fight is broken out in the end zone with penalty flags all over the place. There were some punches thrown at the end of that play. Still trying to get everybody separated. Touchdown, essentially, barring a miracle, is going to put this game away. And now we got to sort out all that just happened after the play was over. right, so that's how it started.
The play is a touchdown. After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 2, Houston. That player is ejected. Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 5, BYU. That player is also ejected. The penalty yardage cancels. The try will be attempted from the 3-yard line.
So Darius Lassiter for BYU kicked out of the game. A.J. Halsey for Houston kicked out of the game.
The ruling on the field of a touchdown is under further review.
Taase, the tight end, was trying to pull that defender off of his quarterback who was lying on the ground, and that's sort of what got it all started.
Yeah, just an ugly scene. You hate to see it. Tempers flaring here late in the game. Houston obviously had many struggles throughout the season, and I think some of that frustration just boiling over. A couple possessions ago, they were right in this ball game, knocking on the door.
So now they're actually reviewing to make sure you heard the announcement, make sure it was actually a touchdown. I don't think a knee's down. I think that's easily a touchdown.
Yeah, touchdown, knees up, balls across the white line. Just hate to see that fight break out. Like I said, those frustrations, they boil over. Houston knows that this is their last game of the season. They're not going bowling. It's been a difficult year for the Houston Cougars.
And they played hard tonight.
Yes, they did. And you know what? Sean Bell, the interim offensive coordinator, he just might have put his name in the hat to be the permanent offensive coordinator with the performance and game plan he put together here tonight in Provo against one of the best defenses in the Big 12.
I agree with you. He did a good job under adverse circumstances.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It is a touchdown.
All right, so we've had 2 players ejected. The touchdown stands. It's 30-18. With an extra point coming, Darius Lassiter is going to have to go to the locker room.
That's somebody that will go down in BYU lore for eternity with his game-winning reception against Oklahoma State. With about 10 seconds to go to propel them to a victory over the Pokes.
That is a play they will play forever here in Provo. You're right about that.
Unbelievable.
Part of this cardiac season for BYU where it just kept happening over and over again. And it felt even just a few minutes ago when Houston was driving that we were going to get it again tonight. But the huge strip sack, fumble, recovery that turns into a touchdown. And now BYU is going to go for 2. Ahead by 12.
You know, and you talk about this Houston team, obviously a very disappointing year, just 4 wins to this point. But there's some building blocks in place for Willie Fritz. Shieldwood, at defensive coordinator, did a fantastic job, top 30 defense in the country. And you had a ranked win over Kansas State just a couple weeks ago. You beat Utah, you beat TCU. There's some promise for this Houston football team moving forward.
Their wins were good wins. They were. Just no consistency on offense. They got to get that part fixed. 2-point try. Retzloff is going to throw, and it's knocked away. Incomplete by McCutcheon. So 30-18 is the score with 2:52 to go. We've talked a lot about BYU's mistakes, but Houston's made their share of mistakes here tonight as well.
Well, they certainly have, and they tried a surprise onside kick back in the first quarter because there was an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that put the ball at the 50-yard line, and then Alfrey made him pay, taking it back to the house. You see the fumble that was forced by Jack Kelly just a couple possessions ago, and this is really what sealed the game for BYU. Blake Mangelson coming up with the recovery, and then a couple plays later, it goes from a 6-point game to BYU now being up by 12 and fully in control here late in the fourth quarter.
It was 2nd and 5 on the BYU side of the field. They lose yardage. They throw an incompletion. They go for it on 4th down, had that massive negative play, give up the touchdown, get a player ejected, and now need a miracle.
And that's how close it was for Houston. Just a possession ago, getting ready for another upset. This is a program that had not beat 2 ranked teams in a season since 2016.
Brian Massey drops the kickoff, now picks it up, and will get across the 15 to about the 17. Houston needs to score. They need to score fast, and then they need a much better onside kick than the one they had earlier.
A little bit of help and a little bit of a miracle. Hey, you never know. Christmas miracle might show up early for Houston.
Never know. No timeouts left. I thought no timeouts left. Our graphic is showing 1, so I thought they had used their final timeout. So 2:42 to go. Houston takes over. Chris is going to run it. And the ball came out again. BYU has it.
They fumble, recovered by the defense. First down, BYU.
Jack Kelly and John Nelson, both there right at the same time. John Nelson, a senior, fantastic defensive tackle.
And the other senior on the line that we haven't talked as much about tonight, Logan Latui, he's a guy who recovered the fumble.
Yeah, these seniors have been all over the field tonight for BYU, just playing inspired football. You see Jack Kelly get there, John Nelson, and then Latui coming in for the recovery.
Well, Kalani Sitake, he told Stormy in between quarters their defense has bailed out the offense a bunch of times, and now the defense has probably put this game away. No timeouts for Houston. Well, BYU gets the ball back. Iowa State fans counting down the final seconds here, hoping to book their trip to Arlington, Texas. Martin got the knee down to stay in bounds. That was a smart play by him to keep the clock rolling.
You know, I don't think it's too soon to start talking about that Arizona State Iowa State matchup. I can't wait to see Cam Scattaboo go against that vaunted Iowa State defense that's just been spectacular all year long. It's going to be a really fun matchup in Arlington next Saturday.
Really fun. You and I might talk a little more about that when we come back. 2-minute timeout in Provo.
Championship weekend begins next Friday.
And remember those games, which will start on Friday, the American, and then Big 12 SEC before the ACC finishes it off next Saturday on ABC. Those championship games, even for teams that figure to already be in, if you win that conference championship and are one of those highest ranked conference champions, you get that bye.
Yeah, which is a massive deal.
Huge. LJ Martin. So, I mean, you know, Texas and Georgia, you sort of figure in the SEC, both those teams are going to be in now. I think we kind of know that. But the difference between winning and losing that SEC championship game, forget about a banner that you can hang forever. You skip the first round.
And that's just the best point, you know, and it'll be interesting to see how much weight gets put on conference championships and that moving forward, because it really is all about the playoff and the opportunity to play for a national title. So all these teams part of championship weekend next weekend, you know, they're going to obviously put out their best shot to try to get that first round bye.
And I can't wait to see the rankings on Tuesday, and specifically Arizona State. See where they are. On third down, LJ Martin carries straight ahead and gets stopped. Houston, no timeouts. Clock is rolling, and I would think BYU is not going to kick. They'll just keep the offense on the field and go for it.
Well, and Flem, I know why you're curious where Arizona State's going to fall in that ranking, because they're behind Boise State. And so you got to remember, your 4 highest ranked conference champions, doesn't have to be a power conference champion, get that first round bye. So if it was to end today, Boise State's going to get that first round bye. So yes, Tuesday is going to be very interesting. Where do Iowa State and Arizona State fall in the rankings in comparison to Boise State.
And Boise State will have the chance to play a really good UNLV team in their conference championship game. So if you're thinking, well, yeah, but Boise State won't get a good win, if they actually win that game, they get a really good win against UNLV. What a night for those two. Tyler Batty, John Nelson and company. The seniors led the way, especially on the defensive side of the ball for BYU.
BYU takes their first charge timeout of the half. 30 seconds in length.
They certainly did, and this is exactly how a senior class wants to go out. And Kalani Sitake spoke to us this week about what this group of seniors means to them, the group that transitioned them into the Big 12 last season, missed a bowl game, only 5 wins, and here they are 26 seconds away from their 10th victory and an opportunity in bowl season for an 11th.
There is very few people, only the staunchest BYU supporters thought that a 10-win season was possible this year for BYU. Just a great turnaround.
And a fantastic and exciting season. If you followed BYU football, you were on the edge of your seat between the matchup in the Holy War with Utah and the Oklahoma State finish and all the games the past couple weeks. This BYU football team's been a pleasure to watch.
Even on the night where their own Big 12 championship hopes were eliminated. With Iowa State's win at home against Kansas State. 4th and 2. Could be the final play of the game if BYU converts. Martin's going to get it. Right side run. LJ Martin, first down. Inside the 10. And that'll do it for BYU. 19th time in school history that BYU is going to win 10 games. 3rd time under that guy.
Yeah, and he deserves a ton of credit. From a 5-win season last year, their first year in the Big 12, the roster he assembled this season, inserting Jake Retzloff as the starter. What an impressive year for Kalani Sitake and his entire ball club.
And BYU's win means it'll be Iowa State in the Big 12 championship against Arizona State on Saturday in Arlington. So no championship for BYU, but a 10-win year and a great win for Brock Osweiler, Stormy Bonatoni, and our crew. Dave Fleming saying so long from Provo.